What is strength? In the tarot, it's not about muscle. No, it's about overcoming our animal instincts. And in the next Mystic Fix, we're going to be talking to the creator of the Animal Love Oracle deck, Nadine Gordon-Taylor. And we're also going to talk with the shaman Nishimpta. And you are going to want to see that video.
Mystic Fix, a program for the whole being, with Julia Gordon-Bramer on News Talk STL.
Welcome to Mystic Fix. I'm Julia Gordon-Bramer. This week's episode corresponds with the Strength card. The Strength card is about the strength of body, character, and spirit. It is one of the most beautiful cards in the tarot, featuring a woman taming a lion, but not with brutality, more with her character and with love. And so the Strength card embodies animal spirit as well as human. On that note, I want to first introduce Phyllis Russo, whose shaman name is Nishimpta. This interview was conducted at my home, and if you want to see something really strange, please check out our video cast. No sooner did the camera get rolling than what looks to be some unexplained smoke or mist joins our discussion. We did not notice it while we were talking. It showed up on the film. There were no candles burning, no incense, and I am still tripping about it.
I brought my drum, so if you want to say something about it or whatever, just so you know it's here. Let me check the sound of it, though.
Okay.
Actually, do you have it running already?
Yeah.
Okay, let's just do this for just a moment, just to sort of.
All right. Get in the mood.
I'm gonna. So the two spirit guides that I'm connecting with are my two Russian grandmother spirit guides. One is more towards Belarus, and one is more of eastern areas of Russia. A little bit more Siberial. And they're kind of wanting their representation. The core of the shamans, their hearts, their souls, their purpose. And so that's what they've just said.
Okay.
You want to do a card maybe before we start?
If you'd like to. You feel drawn to that?
Yeah. Since I just all of a sudden saw them all.
Sure.
So one for the both of us.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I have an idea of one that I'm just sort of thinking of because each program is aligned with a tarot card. And I'm aligning you with the Strength card, which is number 8 in the major arcana, and it is the woman taming the beast, the lion. And so it's got that animal energy of
Cool.
Yeah.
So as you, I don't know if you know this, but lion is one of my main main 3.
No pun.
Yeah. Only from a writer would I hear that. But he's one of my main spirit guides, spirit animal guides.
Well, let's have you pick one.
This guy.
All right. What do we have? Oh, we've got the 4 of Cups. All right. That's it's a card of being selective, of being particular, of you can see he is rejecting the love that's offered to him, saying, I'm not going to settle. I'm not, I don't have to do anything. So yeah, I call it a card of owning your God self.
Oh,
So,
cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great thing to start with. Owning
All right.
our God selves. Good.
All right. Welcome, Phyllis Russo, whose shamanic or shaman name?
So you can say shaman, you can say shaman, all different kinds of pronunciations.
Whose shaman name is Nishimpta.
Oh, you got it good.
Yes. So, wow, I've known you for a number of years now, and I've watched you evolve through your shaman training. Why don't you tell the Mystic Fix listeners, first of all, what is a shaman?
Well, the shaman started out, first of all, it's the most ancient healer. The shaman started out as not necessarily the tribal leader, but the tribal healer, the tribal doctor, even the tribal educator. So everybody sort of came to him or her, and actually the oldest archaeological find of shamans was a female. And they would come and they would either get healed or emotionally healed, or they needed education, they needed guidance, and that's the shaman.
So the medicine man or woman.
Yeah, you could say that, absolutely.
Okay.
But it was even bigger than that, though. And part of that, and we sort of discussed it earlier, but part of that is also they were the ones that found the way to illuminate themselves, to go into a higher consciousness. And, you know, back in the beginning of time, there wasn't a lot of higher consciousness. It was more, you know, get your animal, eat your food, survival, that sort of thing. So, yeah.
Okay.
There's the shaman.
And so what does a shaman do today in our modern world?
So the modern day shaman is that which, if you have a certain training, we literally do whatever they did. These rituals have been carried on and carried on and carried on through every generation of shamans. Much of it was in a family. And so one would learn from the shaman, or the shaman would just choose, or you choose that you are the shaman. And so those choices, you know, in modern day times is sometimes it's desire. Sometimes there is an ancestral tie. I feel I've learned more of the way of the Russian shamans, and my maiden name is Savarinsky. So we're Belarus. And so the experience of my spirit guides are actually through more Russian descent.
Oh, I have a little bit of that background. More Czech on my side, but my maiden name is Svolba.
I like that.
So
Savarinsky and Svolba.
It was awful growing up with that, but
I loved Savarinsky, actually. I love
Really?
that name, yeah.
Well,
I like Russo, too.
So how do people work with you today?
So one is I provide different rituals. Soul retrieval. What is soul retrieval? Like, don't we just have a soul? Well, there are parts that sometimes through trauma in our childhoods, the souls sort of go, this is kind of uncomfortable, and they sort of move away. Like, it's sort of an esoteric kind of experience, but in modern psychology, it's trauma, then it's belief system, and from belief system, it's trauma, experience, belief system, and then there is, okay, I'm going to live this belief system the rest of my life.
And you're saying it's like an incorrect belief system?
Correct.
Okay.
So there's trauma first, right? So whatever we do to survive, which is usually from the ego.
Okay. So it might be somebody who relies upon an addiction, for instance.
Yes, very much so.
Okay, and another example of soul retrieval might be what somebody who doesn't believe they'll ever be successful, or can't fall in love, or
all the blocks that we have in life.
Okay.
So those are the psychological belief systems, and we're darn tootin' we're going to be living that. We've got to live that belief. I rather live that belief than die.
Oh,
you see what? And they don't want to give up on that belief system. So, in the way of how we look at it, there is our soul that's within us. The soul is good. The soul is whole. The soul is sweet and kind and compassionate. And something happens, and one might call it. Let's just say, Dad says, "Hey, I'm going out for a pack of cigarettes," and he never comes back, right? So we call that belief system, I will be abandoned, right? But that part of the soul that says, but I am unity, I am love, I am oneness. And it kind of says, ooh, something happened out here that doesn't feel good, and so I'm going to kind of step away. And we learn unity and loveness, but we kind of learn it the hard way. And so the soul retrieval, what I depend upon is a spirit guide that illuminates this person. So I go into a deep trance, a journey. I use a drum. And I go into this trance where I see sort of the parts of this person illuminated. I could see it at 1 or at 2 or at 5 or at 7.
You're talking years old here.
Yes.
Okay.
And you see this little child. Sometimes I see it at birth. Sometimes I see it at conception. And all that is sort of this spark. Mm-hmm. And what you do is you just, by ritual, by drumming, by getting deep and really feeling this other part of the soul and saying, hey, do you want to come back in? And they always do. And then you ask that person, do you welcome this part of you back in? And they always say yes too. Mm. And so the feeling afterwards is a feeling of wholeness. Now the way I do it actually a little bit different than when I learned. I found a wonderful shaman. It's crazy how I found her, but her middle name was Phyllis.
Oh.
I'm going, who else has this name?
Yeah, your name is not real common.
Yeah. And so I found her, and she did this sort of second part to it, which was the integration. So here's the interesting part. The soul really never splits apart. Mm-hmm. It's a perception.
Okay.
And so on the second part, so I do this over a period of about 2 or 3 weeks. And the second part is we're going to integrate it as if it never left. And we start from conception and we watch every single age to the age of 50 or 60 or however old the person is that I'm working with. And by the end of it, it's like it never left. Mm. And who knows if it does or it doesn't.
Yeah. Well, so in my belief system, I study A Course in Miracles, and it's very close to Zen Buddhism, and you see my Buddha over there, and basically, yeah, hi Buddha. Basically, the idea is that this is all illusion, and we are fully integrated and with the source, whether you want to call the source God or spirit or whatever. So that goes along with my line of thinking.
And it really does. So one of the things, so I've studied A Course in Miracles since the early 2000s.
Oh, uh-huh.
And went through the entire text and the lessons and the manual for teachers. And so that's always underlying. That's why I say, is it illusion or is it not? It's one, and it might all be an illusion, right? When you talk about A Course in Miracles. But just recently, I actually started studying again with a friend of mine. Mm-hmm. And then I just naturally integrated it into, so I do a lot of counseling sessions. What I'll do is so my background is personal growth counselor, transformational counselor, mental health counselor. You only get so far with that, I've always thought. Talk therapy is wonderful. I never will, even in one way, shape, or form, I won't even put that down. I do think it's limited. Mm-hmm. So what I do is I start that way, just talk with the client, and then from that point, then I drum, and I go into a journey until we go really deep. More so lately, A Course in Miracles is just showing up. Mm. The lessons are just showing up.
Yeah.
And so in that journey, we see the reality, which isn't this reality.
Yeah.
It's the true reality. It's the connection.
Oh, that's cool.
And so that's what we're always, and I did this before I got back into it this year, but it's that connection that we're always wanting. The dimensional, the bigger picture, the universal God.
Yeah.
And so that's what we do on sessions.
So talk about your drum. Do you use you brought your drum with you here. Do you use it with every session?
Everyone.
Really?
Everyone. So sometimes I do local. Most of my work is on Zoom. Mm-hmm. So as a matter of fact, I just got off a Zoom call with a client in Germany.
Oh.
And we actually didn't have a lot of time to do a lot of drumming because we hadn't spoken to each other for a while, so more of it was talk therapy today. But when I did get, what she realized was sort of this, what she went through, because I haven't talked to her in a couple months, was really seeing the universe for what it is, seeing the true reality. Her mother just recently passed away, and her mother has been so with her and has so guided her in these last couple months. And she just really finally said, okay, this is the reality. It's not made up. It's not in my imagination. And that's where we connected again today. Whereas you get into that journey, that's the reality.
Yeah.
It's, we think that's kind of crazy. But so I'll see local clients as well. And in local clients, sometimes I do my old stuff, right?
Local for you is Texas, correct?
Yeah, Dallas, Texas. Okay. I am moving soon, though. But they come over if they need chiropractic, if they need a TMJ.
Right, because we neglected to mention your background is in chiropractic. Yeah. I mean, you've got a pretty overall holistic kind of background before you began any of this stuff.
Yeah, so I've been doing this work for 35 years, and it includes chiropractic, acupuncture, all different kinds of modalities in chiropractics. The counseling was already there in place. Functional medicine. So I've done it all, just about. And so one of the things I've been doing, I keep getting in one conversation going back out. On Zoom, I'm now adding back my acupuncture. And you go, how can you do that over Zoom? And I thought, if I'm doing all this energetic work, why do I not do my acupuncture? So somebody had a headache recently, and in my journey, I put in the points. I talk it out loud. I see where the points are. I see what, whether it's yin or yang or wind or, and something too humid, too moist, whatever it is, I see the pattern and I start putting the needles in. And then we do another part of the journey, maybe hitting more of the emotional side. And then it was ready to take them out. And I have clients all over in Dublin, Ireland, and I worked on her knee.
Wow, remotely.
So, yes. And again, it was just putting in the acupuncture needles, and then we worked on emotional stuff. And then at the very end, I said, okay, you in the house, you upstairs, walk down the stairs, walk up the stairs. And she comes back and she goes, okay, the pain is totally gone.
Wow.
Yeah, she had some back pain, same thing.
Wow.
So
are you of the Louise Hay heal your body kind of mindset? So, okay.
Extent,
so you think that a physical ailment is reflecting something on the emotional level?
I mean, that's why, first of all, I never was a chiropractor that just adjusted, because I was an applied kinesiologist. So there was always that, is there an emotional connection? Is this muscle attached to the neck? There were so many different ways. And so even the nutritional therapy was in from the very beginning. And so so it's always been connected. But that's when I went into counseling. Because, and let me just say something about me. I would tend to feel like a failure an awful lot. And in feeling like a failure, it's like, okay, I got to learn something new. This person's not fixed. There's got to be something else out there. And so at one point I got into counseling. If the acupuncture didn't do it, and chiro didn't do it, and this modality, and let's try a different modality, I'm going to become a counselor. And so I trained for that. And then the next thing, and to me, when I did the shamanic work and studied, it really was that place where I said, okay, I'm done. It doesn't get better than this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You found it.
Yeah.
Do you remember back in the 70s, there were all these buttons people wore that said, I found it. It was a Christian thing.
Oh, that's funny. I don't remember this. Sorry. I must not have been with the same crowd.
So we have to wrap it up, but if somebody wanted to reach you, Phyllis, or Nishimta, first of all, how would they do that? And secondly, what could they expect?
Well, one of the things that I do, it's interesting about expectations. You never know. And so I try to be understanding to that. So I always say, you know what? I'll do a 20, 30-minute free chat to really get an idea what's best for you. And then I explain it to them. So I want to be in person with that person even before we start. So that's number one. Then they can get a hold of me online. And I just revamped my website.
And what is that?
And it looks very pretty. So it's www, you've heard of that, you've heard of that part, THE, Mama Shaman.
Mama Shaman.
Yeah. So THE, everything's got an A in it, MAMA, SHAMAN.
If I'm correct, is also your Instagram, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, the Mama Shaman.
And I have a page on Facebook, the Mama Shaman as well.
Okay.
Always with the. And then I have WhatsApp, phone number on there. That's 402-257-0770.
Okay. And so anyone from anywhere in the world can work with you.
And I do. And I worked in a lot of different countries in Europe.
And so the drums, do you Zoom the drums? How does that
Absolutely.
WhatsApp the drums?
Yeah, I will tell you that the sound is not always perfect.
Yeah.
I used to use that mic, and it's still not always perfect. It doesn't always get the resonance.
It's very hypnotic. Just to, you know what, before we began, Phyllis started some of this drumming, and it really puts you in a mood.
So you're in the room and you're catching more of the resonance. Sometimes they don't as much. I do have a whole setup in my home where it grabs the resonance a little bit more. But with that in mind, really sometimes it's just the energy of it.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, and then sometimes people drum on the other side.
Oh.
So we don't always hear each other because of the sound, the drums sort of
that's
cancel
cool.
the other out. But everybody has their own way of experiencing their own healing.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. And it was nice to do this in the warmth of my dining room.
Yes, and in person. I traveled all the way just for you, Julia.
Well, I appreciate it. And we will spend more time together soon.
Sounds great.
Next up, we're going to meet Nadine Gordon-Taylor, creator of the Animal Love Oracle cards, an intuitive oracle deck with animal mentors with insights to accelerate your journey and guide your energies of the heart. Next on News Talk STL 1019 and 94.1.